Good day, this is Ray. Today is Saturday, August 9th, 2025 for me. Another day of learning and growing. I hope that you, family, friends, and loved ones are doing well and staying safe. It is about 6:30 on a Saturday. I had my medications and breakfast, and now I'm ready to sit down and present. So first thing you probably notice that's a little bit different about me is that I'm wearing a hat. Sometimes I wear a hat, not too many baseball caps, but I wanted to wear this hat. I just got it this week. I had been working on the design for a while, and this was the final product. I'm really happy with the design. Not sure if I'm happy with the color choice of the hat. I'm going to try a few different color styles, but this is the start, and later on down the road, if you're interested in buying one of my hats, I'll tell you how to do that. But right now, it's just testing it out. Wanted to have something for me as a reminder of my journey and not in my budget. And more to come on that. So today I wanted to talk about some lessons that I've learned from this journey of not only learning how to budget, but also paying off debt, because that is my journey. That's where I'm at, and it's been a long journey. But what I learned about myself is that I'm extremely patient. My journey started by acknowledging that I had over 6 figures worth of non-mortgage / consumer debt. So patience is a financial skill. So, it's been a little bit over 5 years now that I've been paying off this debt. And I don't have my numbers in front of me, but I'm like at 35,000 maybe, something like that. Like I said, I looked at my numbers this morning. I'm just kind of going off the cuff. But it's a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint. And it's not much else I can say about that. It's that it just requires a lot of patience. Having realistic goals keeps from or prevents burnout. Yeah, I can attest to that. When I first started, I thought that I could pay off this debt in 2 to 3 years. But then, as I dug a little bit deeper, looked at how much interest was accruing on the credit cards or loans, how much income I make, and I make less than 6 figures, I had to set realistic goals. And the first thing was getting that emergency fund, and then paying off as much debt as I could, as well as cutting out credit cards and reining in my spending. So, I started to really track how much I was paying down each year, and setting realistic projections. So that I definitely think that's one of the things that has helped, is to have realistic goals. Track everything and not just the big stuff. Yeah, so to the penny, I track all of my spending, whether it be groceries, eating out, donations, my bills, of course, my monthly bills, any subscriptions, paying for gas, parking. I track it all. And I also track how much debt I'm paying off each year, each month. And it's just, it seems like the natural thing to do. It just makes sense to keep track of it and to have this record to keep me going, but also to look back on and say, yeah, this is where I came from, this is where I'm at, and I got through the journey. Another thing is that emergency funds are non-negotiable. I've had a few times where I've had to dip into an emergency fund, where I had shelving in my closet fall down when I first moved in, had some plumbing issues. There were a few other things. I had federal and state taxes that were higher than I anticipated. Completely wiped out my emergency fund, but each time I built it back up, even though my progress of paying down debt slowed down, because the reason for the emergency fund is so that you're not going backwards in debt, and that you can cover it. You can cover an emergency. Now, I think Dave Ramsey says have $1,000. It might be more now. I don't know, but $5,000 should really be a minimum for a baby emergency fund. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to really think about this before I say this. So budgeting without joy is a trap. This has been a long journey. I'm very frugal. I don't spend much. I don't go out much, but that might not be the best approach. Lately, I would say in the past few months, I've gone to the movies twice. Yeah, twice in this year. And that was a nice outing, but I had a discount pass. So I still didn't, tickets are still expensive. I think this was like $10, but it was open weekend. And, that's just me. But because I had such a big number to pay off, $115,041.89. It's been my priority to really just drive and to really try to tackle it and to really, just try to bring that number down as quickly as I can. I'm getting very close to paying off my last personal loan. And, after that, I'll only have my student loans. And, what's funny is if I were to just, really pause once I pay off this personal loan, my minimum payment for my student loan is $176.13. That's not bad at all. And, I think last month towards my consumer debt, I had paid $1,100. So imagine if I'm only paying $176.13 a month. Yeah, that would make things a little bit easier. But I want to get that loan paid off so I can build a full emergency fund. And, just really, if I want to go on a trip, I can pay for it in cash. That's how it will be. But, so I just wanted to kind of talk about that. Budgeting without joy is a trap. Your budget should reflect your real life. So, I'm trying to think back to the beginning when I started to budget. That I think of our gross income or our net income to budget by. It's always been my net income. It's been how much my actual take-home pay is, and then budgeting based on that. Like, for example, and I wish I had pulled up my numbers, but I didn't. That's okay. But like my monthly mortgage payment is 34% roughly of my take-home pay each month. And if I had based it off of my gross income, I think that's right. Yeah, my gross income, then I wouldn't have accurate representation of what I need to set aside, or how much of the particular expense is taking up my pay. So that's it's something to consider. Excuse me. Also, budgets do evolve. Still in the same vein. So budgets do evolve. When I first started budgeting using a zero-based budgeting method, I had to make quite a few adjustments, not only to get used to it, but to also realistically take a snapshot of my income, how much debt I had, and all of my other expenses, and make tweaks or changes, but not really stray too far from what zero-based budgeting is. So make sure that your budget reflects your real life. And then lastly, I just want to say, impulse spending is like a silent saboteur. And, that was a big problem for me. I would say prior to budgeting, but once I got a budgeting plan, impulse spending just kind of went away. It faded out because I set aside money for all of my expenses, and there was just no room for impulse buys. And I'm going to stay out of that habit for the rest of my life because it's just a waste. When I go to the store, there is no left or right saying, "Oh, I need that. I forgot to put that on my list." No, it's not that. I built my list prior to going shopping. I map out the store so I know which aisle the food is in and where exactly it is. So I can go in the store, get all the items I need, be in and out less than 20 minutes. Because I had already planned it out and I had already set aside the money for it, so the budget for it. I may be off by a few dollars, but then, I could say, okay, if I don't have enough in my budget to be able to set aside necessarily for the extra expense of that, I'll take money from another category, put it towards the groceries that I spent. And then for the other category where I took money from, I'll just put money back in there in my next paycheck. So anyway, I hope you got a little bit of something out of this. Again, I'm working on my hat. I'm not looking at to have a merch store or anything like that. I just want to create something, whether it be a poster or a welcome mat or a mouse pad, something that if you're a fan of Not In My Budget as a saying, and I'm going to talk about that maybe next week, 20 deeper meanings of Not In My Budget. As a matter of fact, now that I mentioned it, I have to talk about it now because that's just going to be my next vlog. So anyway, if you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. When I post my videos, you can find me at youtube.com/@Not In My Budget. As always, thanks for watching. You all take care.